Hey there guys, what is going on? We are back and we've got more Vanguard news today, which is all very exciting. This did release on the same day that we did make our video talking about more Vanguard news. So if you haven't seen that video already talking about a lot of the stuff that is coming in Vanguard, make sure you go check out that video. The link will be on the screen right now. But we do have basically a patch notes of sorts from the advancement from the beta of Vanguard into launch. These are some of the changes that they have made, which is actually a pretty significant deal here. Just before we do get into it though, make sure you do hit that subscribe button with those notifications turned on. I do massively appreciate it and it really does help me out. As I have said a number of times already, we are going to be transitioning the channel into Vanguard content when that does drop on November 5th, which is next Friday. So if you don't want to miss out on any of that, make sure you do stick around. And again, while you are there as well, make sure you hit that like button as well to get these videos to as many eyes as possible because we love growing our community here, love talking to you guys about Call of Duty, so let's do it right now. So the title of this article is Vanguard, the Road to Launch, and as I mentioned, this is basically a list of changes, a list of patch notes that they have made from the beta to what is going to be the launch patch of the game, which is very, very exciting here. We can see a decent looking weapon here. I believe that's the STG. I can't remember off the top of my head. And we have actually like the Japanese themed map, which is actually really, really cool. If you missed out on a lot of the maps that we saw yesterday, go check out that video. So as you can see here, this is the blog post and it is very, very exciting. It's very white and it's making my face look pretty washed out, I imagine. But essentially the start of this is basically thanking us for participating in the beta, giving them a lot of information. Again, the beta was very, very fun in my opinion, but it did have problems and they did apparently address a lot of the stuff that we did have concerns with. In the multiplayer beta, the goal coming out of the actual beta was to give players a faster and more smooth experience at launch, which is pretty much the idea of a beta. You test it out, see how it functions, and then once it does actually come out, they're like, hey, this is kind of bad. Eventually they go around and fix it, and they have actually reduced weapon swap and pickup animation speeds and are bringing in new movement perks. Again, very, very cool. We've also added the Ninja perk, which does allow you to have silent footsteps at all times, which is very, very exciting. We have seen big changes to the audio mix across the board, increasing the sound of footstep sounds, reducing the announcer frequency so old matey isn't just going to scream at you all the time, which is just... Oh, there is that World War II meme floating around of like the old matey screaming at you that the bomb has been planted. I'll see if I can find a clip of that.
A bomb's been planted on our ammo supply!
Apparently they've increased the performance of Vanguard across all platforms and they've been fixing glitches resulting in pixelation, lighting issues and graphical corruption that some people saw on the beta, and that's always a good thing. And they have also squashed some of the spawn messiness on patrol, which is just one of the most hilarious things I've ever seen. Like, you could get into situations where you would find yourself spawning in the exact same spot and there would be an enemy about 30 centimeters away from you just killing every single person who did spawn, which was hilarious, dumb, but really, really funny. In terms of visibility, they've actually changed some of the distortion effects that we did see. There was an exclusive Ace video pretty recently when the beta was going on, and it basically showed people looking like Gumby. When you did fire at people, they were all bendy, and it was just absolutely hilarious. I knew they were going to fix it eventually, but it was a little frustrating in the beta, so it is very, very good that they have actually fixed that. And they've also changed the muzzle smoke when you are firing a weapon. There was a lot of smoke coming out of the barrels of guns, and they have addressed that as well. They have done a complete pass on the muzzle flash placement, so they're actually going to make that a little bit different, so just muzzle flash will be a little bit differently positioned. Visual effects, environment, ambient placement for better sight lines. Again, hopefully they've changed some of the sight lines on the maps because there's some problems, but again, hopefully they are ironing those out. They've removed the droplets of water that get all up in your face when it rains. There's actually a little bit of a memey patch notes as well. I'll point them out when we get there. Again, various bugs that have been fixed where certain optics would just be performing a little bit strangely. Also fixed cases of name tags appearing through destructible walls, which was fairly common in the beta that I did see. You'd basically be able to see people's red dot and their name above their head when you were looking at them through destructible walls, which is a bit bad. Lens flare reduced across all maps. They nerfed the sun, which was just needed sunglass DLC to be able to play that game sometimes. So goofy. And a lot of the lighting and visual effects that have been changed as well around certain topics of visibility, always good here. Again, they've actually received and done a complete mixing and overhaul to the sound system, addressing like the content from the beta, of course, moving like into footstep sounds and then player and non-player weapon sounds, as well as the map environment content. Footsteps are silent when players aim down sight, crouch walk, or have a perk field upgrade equipped which silences movement, which is very, very interesting. So you're going to be able to be silent when you are aiming down sight if you don't have like Ninja equipped. They also fixed a bug that caused shots after the first shot to be too quiet, which is again very, very interesting. Operator quips occur less frequently, which I mean your operator's going to shut up a little bit more, which is very, very good. They were a bit chatty sometimes, which is just a bit goofy. And they have asked Butcher to chill out a bit. The voiceover lines are less frequent, which is one of the things that people were complaining about. Old matey, the announcer, just talked so much, and it's just like, bro, just relax, it's fine, just shut up. As I said, they did change some of the spawns, the unpredictable spawns in Patrolman, which I mean, as I mentioned, you could just spawn in the same spot over and over again. An enemy could be about 10 centimeters behind you and just kill you as soon as you spawn. So hopefully they did address that. And naturally, they are going to be increasing and improving the spawn logic, which just happens over time. They do that pretty normally at the start of most games. In terms of the movement, we have actually seen grenades and incendiaries no longer slow the movement speed of players, which I didn't actually notice too much. Usually I was being killed immediately by a grenade and I didn't get slowed down by it, so that might be a bit of a deal. A cap has actually been placed on the maximum suppression effect, so you're likely not going to be slowed down as much as you were previously. And then there have been changes made to animation times that we talked about previously in terms of that weapon switch speed and throwing of equipment. Apparently the gammon bomb can actually be thrown more quickly, which I didn't notice was a little bit slow, but is what it is there. As well as sprint out times have been sped up and rebalanced, so hopefully we don't end up seeing weapons or assault rifles and stuff with like 780, 800 milliseconds worth of sprint out time, which is a real problem. That actually does sort of discourage massively aggressive gameplay, which is not ideal. So hopefully that has actually been tuned and adjusted appropriately. There are actually dev tips in this patch note here, which is actually very, very interesting. Dauntless, a perk that players did not have access to in the beta, that actually does make players immune to those movement reducing effects, which is quite interesting as well. In terms of weapon changes, we have seen shotgun lethality have been improved, because there was a couple of shotguns in the beta and they were both kind of bad, like kind of just pretty weird. The effective damage range of most shotguns, SMGs, and pistols has actually been reduced though. The SMGs and the pistols were overperforming at range, and shotguns were adjusted due to the increased lethality overall. So hopefully shotguns are just going to be in a better spot just sort of in general, rather than just having to rely on just absolutely spamming super hard. So they're going to be a little bit better, but at those close ranges you will still guarantee to get those kills. They've apparently adjusted the hipfire spread on most of the weapons, which is always good to sort of get those in the right idea of balance. They've also adjusted some of the attachment stats. The trade-off on barrels, magazines, and stocks have been reduced, so when you do take a barrel, a magazine, or a stock, you're not going to be hard-pressed to actually just destroy your gun's stats just to get a little bit more fire rate or something like that. They've also changed some of the ammo types. They were rebalanced to include more trade-off, which is very interesting, because basically you could just take like the subsonic ammunition and essentially just have no cons there, so that's going to be interesting. You'll probably end up reducing your bullet velocity or your damage range or something like that now, so just keep that in mind. We've also seen that the Vanguard version of the smoke grenade does actually work slightly differently than previous games. You are fully hidden from distant enemies, but you can actually be seen at closer ranges, allowing you to close the distance between you and the enemy and hunt them down with close quarter combat builds, which is very, very interesting. You throw a smoke grenade and you are pretty much invisible from enemy players, which is pretty neat, until you get up close to them, and that's how a smoke grenade should work. In the Killstreaks and field upgrades section, the friendly counter spy planes and spy planes will no longer appear overhead, which is interesting. Spy planes and counter spy planes move slower and are easier to hit, which, as I have seen, that none of the launchers actually do end up locking on. So with launcher challenges in terms of those camos and stuff like that, you're going to have a little bit of a hard time, but because these are slower to hit and they're a little bit easier to hit because they probably have a larger hitbox than they look and they move a little bit slowly, they're probably going to be easier to hit despite not being able to lock onto them. The counter spy plane does have a shorter duration, which again is very, very important because people were spamming that thing out, man. The health has also been reduced on spy planes, counter spy planes, and most place field upgrades. So hopefully that is actually one of the complaints I had that I didn't realize I was actually super annoyed about. With the field upgrades in the Vanguard beta, when you shot them, you felt like you had to dump a mag into them, actually destroy them for the most part, which is just super dumb. And being able to destroy them very, very easily, just like a 1 or 2 shot, actually would make them a lot better. It says that the Death Machine and War Machine have actually swapped costs here in terms of that score or the number of kill streaks, which is quite interesting. The Glide Bomb being easier to control is such a massive deal here, because when I was using the Glide Bomb, I wish I was using literally anything else, because you'd have to slap your entire mouse across your mouse mat. It was absolutely insane just to try and get the thing to do anything. And now that they fixed that, hopefully it's a little bit easier to use. A maximum timer has been added to the radar jammer and field microphone upgrades, so they will blow up automatically. And then the bugs resulting in graphical corruption of the attack dogs have been fixed, which is a little sad. I mean, the Dognado was kind of goofy. I'm not 100% sure if I saw that too many times, but it was pretty funny when I did see it. So that's a little sad, but it is a bug that did need to be ironed out. And in the perk section, low profile has actually been removed and replaced with the Ninja, as we did mention previously. Now, as you can probably expect, we do have a little bit of a pre-launch FAQ, and the first question is, will Spawn's weapons visibility continue to be tuned after launch as needed? Of course, the answer is going to be yes to that. Basically, when games do launch, or especially Call of Duty games do launch, stuff's broken, stuff's a little bit janky, like they can't test it as thoroughly as they should. I mean, they could put out another beta, but the game's like 5 days away from launching, so it's a bit late now. But once the game does launch, we are basically like another beta test here, and once stuff does like come to light and you put it on Twitter and say, hey, this is broken, eventually they'll get around to fixing it, and that's just how it works. Then we do have, are more free maps coming after launch? Again, of course they are. It's going to be following a very similar system to how we have seen in Modern Warfare and Cold War. You're not going to have to pay for the extra content. It's basically just going to be free. Again, shipment is dropping on the 17th of November at this stage, which is very, very cool. And we are going to be receiving new maps as the seasons do drop, which is pretty standard at this stage. How will Vanguard integrate with Warzone at launch and in Season 1? Again, they're going to be integrated as building on what we did with Cold War and Warzone. Vanguard will continue universal progression, so no matter what game you are playing, you're still going to be progressing your battle pass, leveling up, unlocking weapons, unlocking gear, and of course, that's all going to happen at pretty much the same time. In terms of the story stuff, they are actually weaving the narrative throughout the season in terms of that multiplayer content, Warzone, and story. So definitely, if you aren't planning on checking out the campaign, make sure you try it out, because I think there's going to be some interesting details here. We're probably going to see some maps that they're going to add potentially into the game later on, and then probably some more stuff about Warzone sort of integrated through the story, which is actually kind of cool. How will Vanguard and zombies be integrated? As you can probably expect, getting Treyarch to do the zombies of Vanguard is actually very, very cool. It does continue that Dark Aether storyline, and I imagine you're going to be able to play like Cold War zombies as well as Vanguard zombies to able to be like unlocking battle pass stuff and all those other lovely things. Is an FOV slider coming to console? Simply put, yes. And that is pretty much it here. This was a very, very cool read here, just adding more information to the Vanguard world, man. I just love that they did actually add Ninja. I think that is a very, very cool idea. Just being able to promote a more aggressive playstyle in these games, and the fact that they are listening to what we have said about the beta, being like, hey, yeah, we didn't really dig this about the beta. Okay, we'll change it. Simply put, they are doing a very, very good job in this early stage. Like, they know what we want. They know we want to be a little bit aggressive here. They don't want to just have people sitting in corners all the time waiting for people to run past them. Being aggressive, increasing and changing that sprint out time is actually really, really sweet as well for that. And Ninja is going to be a big deal in this game as well. So keep an eye out for that. Again, thank you very much for watching this one. I'm super excited about Vanguard. When that does drop on the 5th of November, as I said, we are going to be transitioning this channel to mostly Vanguard content. So make sure you hit that subscribe button with those notifications turned on so you don't miss out on any of the upcoming content, because there's going to be loads of stuff in Call of Duty this year. Very, very exciting times. Again, thank you very much for watching, as I said, and I will hopefully see you in the next video. Bye!